welcome to the channel for yet another drone review. Today we have the FIMI X8 Pro drone, and we've not reviewed the FIMI before on the channel, so I'm really excited to share it with you. So let's just jump into the specs so you know what the heck I'm talking about. So first of all, this is a larger drone. It is 780 grams, so that's a big fella, no doubt about it. And it's going to offer you more stability than the sub 250s we normally fly. Now keep in mind, we do have to register this drone even if we're flying it recreationally because of that weight and the FAA regulations here in the US. But that being said, this does come with standard remote ID, so we don't have to worry about adding one of those goofy modules to it and doing all that. So what are the specs? Of course, it has all the things like we always want, like brushless motors, SD card storage, GPS, return to home. This also has a 48 megapixel Sony sensor in it, so that's really good. And it has a 1/1.3 sensor and a 1.7 aperture, which that means we're going to get a lot better low light quality. It does have 5x digital zoom and 4K 30 video, and we'll try that of course in a little bit here. But it also has tri-directional obstacle avoidance, which means it has forward, backward, and downward sensors. Also says it has a 40-minute flight time. Now we know we never get what they say. Hopefully it's somewhere close to that because that's really long for the one battery. This has a unique thing too, that it has optional modules that you can attach to it, like a release and drop module that from a distance you can drop things. They have some other things too, but I'm not going to go through those in this video. It would just get too long. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure you do, because when I do that video, I'm going to go through the multiple modules that you can have to snap onto this. Plus they have another remote with a built-in display, which is really quite nice. And I'm going to go through all that in that video and give you some more updates. This also has a 9.3 mile range. Yes, 9.3 miles or 15 kilometer stated range. Now we can't test that in the US because of the visual line of sight rules. And yes, all of those that you see that test that in the US are doing it illegally, just so you know, but we'll give that a test as well. And one additional feature is that it is rain-proof and snow-proof. Keep in mind, that is not a submarine, so if you're submerged in water, probably not going to work. Lastly, of course, it has all the smart functions like we would expect. It has the waypoints, the follow, the point of interest. So this is really impressive, but it doesn't mean a dang thing if it flies like crap or the video looks chunky or grainy. So let's just take it up for a flight, check out, see what it looks like. And you'll notice that I do have this drone tablet in this remote here. And you know, if you haven't seen the video already that I did on this drone tablet, I will put that up here so that you can go ahead and take a look at that, because really, if you haven't flown with a tablet that's made for drones, it'll change your life. And maybe not change your life, but it will change the way you fly drones. It is so nice. It really does make a difference. So make sure you go and check that out. Now, this drone isn't supposed to have to be calibrated every time. So we're going to test to see if that actually holds up or not, and if it works or if it's stable or not. Sticks down and in. So that thing is really nice and stable so far. I'm really impressed with that. So here's the camera view. You let me know what you think of this here. Go by our favorite pond, which is now frozen over. So we can see what that looks like here. The controls are excellent. They're proportional, and you can actually adjust these controls as well. I saw in the settings that you can adjust the pitch, the roll, the speed, things like that. Something I always like to try is to do a manual orbit, because for me that just lets me know at the stick's control if there's lag or anything goofy like that. My fingers are getting frozen, they're starting to shake a little bit. Again, you tell me what this looks like in the comments. I always like to hear what you guys see different than I do. And also, one of the things I like to do is check the horizon tilt here, because of course, if that goes tilting weird when you go back and forth, you know, that's a big difference, tells us how quality that gimbal is. So from what I can tell here, the horizon tilt looks pretty fair. That's a really nice gimbal roll. I really like it. Really looks good. I do have all the camera settings in the automatic mode. There is manual mode on here, but I did find out that they didn't have any neutral density filters. So I'm going to see if I can find some, because it seems silly to me to have all the manual modes if you don't have neutral density filters, because that just helps you All right, so while we still have a full battery here close to it, I'm going to do a range test a little bit. Well, I keep hitting a button here, and I think it's this little button here. And boy, that's pretty annoying, honestly. I'm going to have to see which button I keep pressing because I'm touching something with my frozen hands here that is taking me into checking the camera. So I'll have to find out what that is and not touch that button because that's a little annoying. I think it's this 5-position button. There's that little pound, that's a little second one we like to look at, that's over here. So again, you tell me what this video quality looks like in here. From what I can tell in this tablet, it looks pretty darn good. Looks like good resolution here. I don't think they've cheated on the 4K 30. Okay, we're out at 1600 feet. So that seems pretty good to me here. We're out 2,000 feet. So I'm going to turn around and come back towards us here because I believe that's a successful test here. Let's just fly by this farm and just for the heck of it, let's see if we can check this zoom out. Wow, that does look like a 6x zoom. You tell me what that zoom looks like, but I'm surprised. It actually does look pretty good. That's quite the zoom on there. Go ahead and do a couple of the smart functions. First one, that's always a big one, is this smart track. So let's go ahead and hit it right away and see what it does with this follow. Just go ahead and do a trace of a rectangle on the target, which is me. See what this does for us. Looks like it's doing a pretty good job. Keeping me in the center here. Let's cancel that. Let's go ahead and do a automatic orbit. And before I forget, if you've learned anything new or enjoyed the content so far, do me a solid and click that like button. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that as well. It really does help us small creators out. Even though I know a lot of people like to do this automatic, I like to do the manual ones, but let's go ahead and see if that circle works. Fly to the top of center, setting center, okay. Fly backwards to set the radius, all right. Flight speed. Go ahead and do this and do go. Okay, there it starts. That's nice. It gives us the ability to set the direction. And there it goes here. Looks like it's doing a good job. And there it is here. Let's double check this obstacle avoidance here. We got a couple of minutes left on our battery and see what this does. And indeed it is stopping. So it knows that I'm here. That's good. So the obstacle avoidance seems to be doing its thing. We are going to let it do its landing here, and it should do a precision landing. We'll see if that actually works or not. So to me, that did not seem like 40 minutes worth of battery. I will put the battery from the start to when it forced a landing up here so you know what the battery life is for this one battery. Didn't seem like 40 minutes to me, but time flies when you're having fun or frozen. So maybe it was, but we'll see. Of course, we didn't check out the larger sensor size as far as the night mode because that's one of the things that has a claim to fame as well. So really looking forward to doing that. And we'll do that next, and then we'll head to the studio and go through likes, dislikes, what's in the box, all that. So first, let's go check, see what this thing looks like at night. All right, here we are in the studio. Thanks for making it this far. And just getting back from those night flights, boy, it looked pretty darn good to me. You guys let me know, what did you think of those? I think it looked pretty good. Without further ado, let's just get to my likes and dislikes that I found while flying the FIMI X8 Pro. First of all, the build quality is really nice. And of course, it is rainproof and snowproof, which you saw in the intro there. I did actually pour some water on that, and it seemed to do just fine. Also, during our normal flights, the GPS and the stability of it was really quite good. It's a great flyer. Next, it does have the long flight distance as we had in the spec, and that lends us to some really good connectivity. I didn't ever have it break up or anything like that, even though we went out like a couple thousand feet. All is good there. Next, it does have obstacle avoidance, which is really nice, even though it is only a 3-axis, meaning forward, rear, and downward sensing. It doesn't have any upward sensing. However, having the obstacle avoidance at all, so it just kind of stops and doesn't run into the obvious things, still a bonus. And last but not least, the camera and video quality were top-notch. Gives us that low-light capability that we saw in our night flights. So overall, I think this is a really good camera, should serve you very well. And nothing is perfect. And some things that I thought that could be a little bit better are the multifunction button on this remote here should be a plus. It's pretty nice that you can move it in 5 different directions and repeat different types of actions. However, with my fat thumbs and how I use this remote, I was constantly bumping it for some reason, and things were popping up on the screen, which was really annoying. And I tried to disable the button because it was the push that was causing the issues. And there was no option to disable a mode. If it had the option to disable that direction, I think it would be a win. But they need to update that firmware. And next, having the manual mode for the camera settings is actually a positive thing. However, they don't have any ND filters that are made for this, and they don't plan on making any. So if you're going to have that manual mode and not have neutral density filters so that you can get to the correct shutter speed and such, then that's just a miss. Now, I did actually find neutral densities that will fit on this. So even though FIMI doesn't make them, I found some that would fit. I tested it out and they work. In the next video, I'm going to talk about all the modules and the new remote, and I'll add those neutral densities to that. So stay tuned for that. And next, it does have a 6x zoom, which actually looked pretty good. However, the reason that's a negative is because it looks to me like it only was 6x in the FPV, but it was 3x or so when it recorded to the SD card. So that's a little bit deceiving, so that's why I put it as a negative. So let's talk about what comes in the box and the drone that I have here in front of me. And this is the 1 battery kit, and you know I always recommend to get the fly more. However, what I have here is the 1 battery kit, and that comes with the drone remote, the single battery, a charger, cables for connecting the remote, and 2 extra propellers, not an extra set. Now the price for this 1 battery kit is $5.98 on FIMI site. However, I always like to give you guys exclusive discounts if I can, and this time is no different. FIMI was kind enough to hook us up with a discount code, and I'll put that on the screen and in the links in the description. And that'll give you an additional discount of $30. So that takes this kit down to $568, which isn't too bad. So where I think this fits in the marketplace is this kind of competes mostly with the DJI Air 2S, which I think is a fantastic drone, by the way. The Air 2S is a little more expensive. The 1 battery kit is at $758, so ours is at $538. So that's a couple $100 cheaper. However, the Air 2S does have a slightly larger sensor, and it does have an additional axis of the obstacle avoidance. So for that extra couple $100, you have to see if that's worth it for you. But really, I think for that $568 number, I think this is a pretty darn good deal. It's certainly not overpriced by any stretch of the imagination. And before you go, I did test another drone that I put right here. And of course, if you want to find out if that one is right for you, go ahead and check it out, and I'll see you there. And until then, good flying. A quick addendum for those of you who are dedicated enough to make it to the end of this video. And that is, after I was all done recording all the footage for this video, I did double check the Declaration of Compliance page on the FAA's website for standard remote ID. And I did not find the FIMI X8 Pro on that list. Now, that doesn't mean that it is not equipped with standard remote ID. It sure looks like it is to me all over their website, and all of their documents say that it is. It's possible that the FAA just hasn't gotten around to approving it yet. We did see that before on the DJI Mini 4, where the company did submit it and they expected it was going to go through just fine, and the FAA was just kind of backed up and didn't get a chance to get to it. So it is possible that that is the case on this one as well. However, as I always say, do your own due diligence if you're worried about that remote ID, because I did not find it on the Declaration of Compliant page. So I just wanted to make sure to mention that. So that's all. So until next time, good flying.